think maybe he's changed his style just a little bit to maybe get closer on entry here as we see him close in down to about a half car length between these two.
Man, and I'll tell you, anybody who can adjust their driving like this to find a better way to make it to the front, that's a good driver on your hands. Brandon Plank has gotten back into the top 3. He has passed Porter. I don't know how long that's going to hold up, though, because Jamie seems like he's really not feeling like letting Plank get a podium tonight. They're going to come to the line and have 3 to go. Gavin Isley still leads. He's led pretty much the whole race. Bat DeRitter in second. Brandon Plank and Porter racing for third behind them. 2.5 now, and about, what, a length and a half down the straightaway for DeRitter to catch up to Isley. And it just doesn't seem like he has the drive off the corner to keep up. But we have some lap traffic in the picture.
Yeah, 2 laps to go in this one. We will see as they work with about a lap and a half to go into 3 and 4, coming to the white flag this time. DeRitter's going to have to do something desperate if he wants this win. Into 1 and 2 for the final time. He's within a quarter of a car length, down to a half car length, into 3 and 4 for the final time. DeRitter has a little daylight underneath Isley. Isley's going to hang on. He'll win it. At the front of the field, Gavin Isley gets it done over Matt DeRitter, and Brandon Plank holds on for the final spot on the podium. And I think maybe he's changed his style just a little bit to maybe get closer on entry here as we see him close in down to about a half car length between these two.
Man, and I'll tell you, anybody who can adjust their driving like this to find a better way to make it to the front, that's a good driver on your hands. Brandon Plank has gotten back into the top 3. He has passed Porter. I don't know how long that's going to hold up, though, because Jamie seems like he's really not feeling like letting Plank get a podium tonight. They're going to come to the line and have 3 to go. Gavin Isley still leads. He's led pretty much the whole race. Bat DeRitter in second. Brandon Plank and Porter racing for third behind them. 2.5 now, and about, a length and a half down the straightaway for DeRitter to catch up to Isley. And it just doesn't seem like he has the drive off the corner to keep up. But we have some lap traffic in the picture.
Yeah, 2 laps to go in this one. We will see as they work with about a lap and a half to go into 3 and 4, coming to the white flag this time. DeRitter's going to have to do something desperate if he wants this win. Into 1 and 2 for the final time. He's within a quarter of a car length, down to a half car length, into 3 and 4 for the final time. DeRitter has a little daylight underneath Isley. Isley's going to hang on. He'll win it. At the front of the field, Gavin Isley gets it done over Matt DeRitter, and Brandon Plank holds on for the final spot on the podium.
We finally returned to the track with our gaggle of goofballs and a good 2 weeks of recoup time. Now we're ready to charge into the middle of this BRP iRacing Series season. Welcome in on behalf of Jonathan Howe. I'm Joe Donahue, and we are super excited to present the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75 to you here from the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway. Port Royal opened in 1938 and is nestled into a small town that roars to life for a handful of premier events every year. And to start 2023, we get to bring the BRP Modifieds here virtually to see who can win the inaugural race for this series at this track. Jonathan, as a member of the presenting sponsor of the race and a composer of these broadcasts, I'm sure you're as excited, if not more than me, to finally be back in action tonight.
Oh yeah, Joe, I am so happy to be back. I'm so ready for this broadcast. I've been counting down the days. You know, it was funny. When the actual racing season ended, I thought I was going to miss racing. I thought there wasn't going to be much. But this series has kept me up on the racing beat, kept my skills up on the commentating side, and now I get to bring, my podcast that also keeps me informed and keeps me connected to the dirt scene to the virtual world by jumping on board and presenting tonight's show. And it's going to be a blast. I got my podcast co-host, Travis Cunningham, obviously in the podcast, and looking at the practice speeds, not a bad time so far for Travis, sitting inside the top 10, so that is a good sign. But, Joe, just happy to be back. I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely, man. Same here, and this is my favorite dirt track on the planet, so I could not be happier about where we are at Port Royal Speedway, but 2 weeks, it was a good time off, nice to kind of recoup and spend time with the family and everything, but the real family is the dirt racing family, so we're all ready to go once again here and bring you the BRP iRacing Series, and why don't we just go ahead and jump right on into qualifying. 3 minutes for our drivers to take 2 laps, the best of which will set the lineups for our heat races tonight. Jonathan, your co-host Travis Cunningham is one of the first cars out onto this half-mile facility, and man, he's sending it in there, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks like going for a full kind of diamond of the corner, coming to the stripe. I'm looking forward to seeing what Travis can offer tonight. I know he never has like a ton of confidence with the virtual world, and it's hard when we have heavy hitters like Brandon Plank in the series and so many others that just run so consistently at the top. But I think a couple week break, talking to some of the drivers pre-race, it sounds like it hasn't been a busy couple of weeks off. It sounds like they've kind of stepped away from their machines a little bit in the last couple of weeks. So it's a good reset, and we'll see where everybody's at after the time off.
And with the time off, it seems like one of the guys who really got things together here is Jeff Sharp. He's second quick on the board at the moment. Now third quick as Brandon Plank jumps to the top. Well, the second to the top. Oh, and Jeff Sharp, just as I say it, he gets a little bit quicker and beats out. Oh, and we got a couple guys getting in good times, taking over from Plank, and now Cody Higbee jumps to the top of the board. Here's Jamie Porter in the 45 machine. He rips through 3 and 4. And on for his final timed lap. Will he get any better with this one? He will not. And Cody Higbee, there's the 97 car with the fastest time so far. We got a couple of guys here who waited for us, so they probably wanted to get a little bit of airtime here. And how about this guy? He doesn't get a ton of time, but he's had a really great season so far. Alan Slight in the 2 machine. He's coming around to finish his first timed lap.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of all over the place with some of the speed we're seeing. Our good pal Matt DeRitter up there early in this one, trying to build on some of the momentum. Obviously had himself a really great run right before we took that week off, and or a couple weeks off, and he's still up there in speed as they run right now. Ryan Susi, someone who was behind the wheel of an actual race car racing a TQ Midget just this past weekend, now back behind the wheel in the virtual world tonight with us and posting a solid top 5 time thus far, as it looks like pretty much almost everybody has completed their time. Just waiting, I believe, on Gavin Isley, but I have not seen him out on the racetrack yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen Isley out. The only car left on the racetrack is Travis Miller, just running a couple extra laps. Currently 6th on the board. That would line him up 2nd for the final heat race, so he'll start on the outside of that one. We have 20 drivers here tonight. They are all in big blocks, which I think was completely expected, at least on our end. We didn't really think anybody was going to pull a small block out for Port Royal. This is one of, if not the fastest racetracks we're going to go to this season. And speaking of fast, we are quite quickly moving through this event, and we will get ready to bring you the first heat race of the season starting grid coming up. Mr. Howe, why don't you bring us through the introduction to this grid?
Well, Cody Higbee going to lead us to green in this one. To his outside, Jeff Sharp. Then Ryan Susi lines up in 3rd alongside Brandon Plank, who has won almost everything you can possibly win in this series so far. Travis Cunningham will start 5th, my pal from the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. And then, of course, Dean Meitzler will line up 6th. Pat Reiser in the 33 7th. Ryan Beagle, the big dog, 8th. And Dave DePetro in the 68 will start 9th. So a couple, especially Beagle, starting from the back of the pack in this one. I expected Beagle kind of to be up there, but hasn't found the speed just yet in this one. Definitely some passing points available for somebody to come up from the back and try to sneak up and steal some of those points away from somebody who qualified maybe up at the front but doesn't have the race pace. We'll find out what this track and what these drivers have to offer for us in this first heat.
Absolutely. You see a couple guys running throwbacks here in this grid, and we have an update to the schedule. We are not going to be running 3 heat races tonight, but rather we will have 2 heat races of 10 cars for 8 laps each. You can see there's a pink car on the tail end of the inside line. Usually Dave DePetro's in car number 68. He's bringing out the 27Z throwback. We saw that one at Volusia at the beginning of this season. And right in front of him, Pat Reiser bringing out that number 8 throwback. We've seen him run a couple times. So 10 drivers. Richie Pereira tags the tail of this group. And we get 2 very slow pace laps to start the action tonight. Jonathan, I don't know. I mean, it's a long way around this track as is, let alone at speed, pace speed. I'm sure these guys are going to be riveting to get green here out of turn number 4.
Yeah, the nerves have to be building right now. Maybe it'd be a bit more intense if it was all 20 cars. Maybe you can be a little bit more relaxed with just 10 cars around you right now. But if you're right in the middle of that pack, like Travis Cunningham or Ryan Beagle, you got to be feeling some kind of nerves as they approach this green flag real slow and they turn them loose. A little bit of a scramble start, but Higbee's going to get away with the jump into corner number 1 and clear to the lead. Meanwhile, on the inside, it's Ryan Susi making up some time. A little bit of contact there, a little further back of the pack. They're still bouncing off each other down the back straightaway. Everybody's sorting themselves out now and continuing around corners 3 and 4. Higbee leads lap 1.
So Cody Higbee will be the first driver to lead around Port Royal Speedway this evening. Jeff Sharp, Brandon Plank, Ryan Susi, they are the 4 sitting in points-paying positions for heat number 1 of the night here at the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75. Susi trying to get a little bit further down the track. He spent his weekend here in Pennsylvania running at the Allentown Indoor Race at the PPL Center. He has now made the virtual trip to sort of the center of the state to run and try to make his way around Brandon Plank right now down the backstretch. Jeff Sharp with a great run, and Cody Higbee in pretty good control of this one. Travis Cunningham maybe starting to get a little closer. Plenty of time to do it here as he's running 5th.
Yeah, I know he would love to come up, have a great show, and maybe steal some points away from a front runner like Susie or Plank if they can fall back into their clutches. But now it's Pat Reiser putting some pressure on Cunningham as they work into 3 and 4. Bit of a 7-car freight train now, almost the whole field running the top side. Reiser had a little look to the bottom side of Travis Cunningham, but couldn't quite make that move work. As now we see Jeff Sharp coming under fire from Brandon Plank. Plank looking for the move to the inside of Sharp for second through 3 and 4. Sticks a nose there, but everybody's still chasing Cody Higbee.
Cody Higbee leads the herd as we cross halfway through, and 2-3 laps to go. Now Jeff Sharp all over the outside wall there. That's something we're used to seeing everybody basically do here at Port Royal. Brandon Plank sends it into turn number 3. A big move, and he's going to lose all of the momentum. And Ryan Susi, well, he clipped the wall a little bit, but he about got around that 77X, kind of showing you're kind of stuck in a freight train right now. There's really not any opportunity for these guys to make any big moves or even advance one spot at the moment.
Definitely going to take some bold moves to get things done early in this tonight so far as everybody using the top side right now. I'm sure we're going to see by the time the feature comes and we do a little bit of track prep, maybe see the slider there from Plank. He can't make it stick. Sharp goes back to the inside, although Plank looks like he's going to hold on to the spot as they work into 3 and 4, just barely hanging on and not wiping out in the wall. As we see one car wiping out in the wall, I believe that's Ryan Susi. Susi having all kinds of problems as they were coming to the finish.
Yeah, Ryan Susi got up onto the 3 and 4 wall, and Cody Higbee at the front, no trouble for him. He easily wins the first heat race of the evening over Brandon Plank, Jeff Sharp, and Pat Reiser. So they will start the inside 4 rows of the grid, and now we get to see how we start the outsides of each row of the grid with 10 more drivers lined up and a starting grid coming your way for the second heat race of the night.
Matt DeRitter going to lead us to green in this one alongside Jamie Porter, the pistol. Then it's Travis, the Thriller Miller, still lining up third alongside Adam Hilton. Alan Slate will start 5th. Then it's Liam Daniels in the 71. Tyler Pacholski in the 21 will roll off 7th. Dean Reynolds in the 79 rolls off 8th. And starting shotgun on the field, the Beef, Corby Daniels in the 88.
And starting 10th on the grid, even though it is not on your screen somehow, Gavin Isley will tag the tail, but he didn't qualify, so that has something to do with it. 2 more fairly slow warm-up laps before heat race number 2 might give us a good opportunity to talk about the presenting sponsor of the race tonight, and I don't know who better to do it than Mr. Jonathan Howe of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Jonathan, I'm sure this is a great facility you're proud to present here at with the BRP iRacing series.
Yeah, this is one we were definitely very excited about being able to jump on board and sponsor as the podcast. We've taken our own little break over the Christmas holiday season, and we are ready to get back to it. We got some interviews lined up for tomorrow, and you should see a new podcast wherever you get your podcasts starting on Friday. We're also working on maybe bringing some video component to the podcast and going maybe live sometimes. This is going to be an exciting year for us. Travis and I are coming up on our almost to our first full year of doing this. I think we started it back. I think the first episodes dropped April of 2022. So it's been a blast. You can grab it on Spotify. You can grab it on Apple Music. You can grab it wherever you get your podcasts, and you can follow at SODS, SODS_pod on Instagram and Twitter, and find the show on Facebook. And we also post a direct link where you can just head to our website and listen to the show too. So happy to be a part of this one. Happy to get underway. As you can see, the pace car has pulled in, and we're under green in heat number 2. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast 75.
And they go through 1 and 2. Couple guys, Dean Reynolds, Jamie Porter got up into the wall. DeRitter, I don't know, man. DeRitter had a slow start by the looks of it. They come into 3 and 4. Now he slides up to the top side. Porter might diamond off and take the race. Whoa, we're wrecking in the back. Big time here. Alan Slight. Travis
I'm not
Miller.
Sure what happened. They got jumbled up for sure because you could see Liam Daniels was already up to 3rd on that back straightaway shot just before the wreck happened. So they've been pretty much bouncing off each other. It feels like since we went green here, Joe.
Yeah, and we're going to try to go ahead and bring you a replay of this madhouse. And so let's start off on the exit of turn number 2, Slight on the inside of Miller. Those two, we saw them involved. Hilton right there got a little piece of the guys in front of him, woed up, and this is where, oh, man, they're all getting into it behind there, too, with Pachalski and the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where this is going to start. Maybe it's, maybe right here. Yeah, Miller slides up and into Slate. Slate goes around, and a big factor in this one, Gavin Isley going to be involved as well. And Gavin Isley, always collecting these points for starting up at the front and being up at the front when these heats. He's had a little more work to do with his missing the qualifying time. But, yeah, just a tough, weird situation. It almost reminds me of like one of those like Daytona duel races. You know how they always said like if one of the races is calm, then the other one is always going to be chaotic? That's what we kind of have for heat races right now. Yeah,
that's a really good way to put it, Jonathan, because we're kind of at our super speedway of the season here too, being at Port Royal, just a madhouse of a racetrack, the Speed Palace. So I would say you hit the nail on the head. And it's a shame for especially Miller and Isley, obviously for Slight too, but those two were starting the middle of the season. This is kind of the point where some of the bigger races of our season, I mean, like the Pete Costco Memorial is the big one you want to win. Obviously, you want to be the winner of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75. But this middle of the season kind of is where points start being more of a conversation. We'll be talking more about points as the races go on and try to keep a little bit closer eye now that we're into the middle part and into the 2023, where we'll go to the end and crown a champion. But even though there's only 4 points on the line for winning the heat race, every point's going to count this season. Gavin Isley held the lead for a long time because of it. So we'll just have to see if he can bring something together, get a couple spots back, or at least, during the feature tonight, have a chance at getting closer to the front and getting as maximum of a point show as he can.
And we're back under green with a good start there. I think it was the Porter 45 machine that really got the jump on everybody and took off on this initial start. And Jamie Porter out in front of Matt DeRitter now. Hilton settling into third as we got mostly single file this time through 3 and 4 coming to the front stretch. I've been surprised too. Even the front runners really dancing and flirting with the outside wall, Joe. It's been a lot of close calls, if not a couple brushes for even the leaders through these two heat races.
Yeah, one of the things about Port Royal Speedway on this platform is that as the track works in over the course of your race, in iRacing, the top side gets very, very bumpy, and you can start seeing it slick off, and you can tell. You can see the cars as Adam Hilton goes kind of mid-corner, does a slide job, gets crossed over by DeRitter. It's going to be very bumpy and treacherous to get a topside run as the night goes on. So for Jamie Porter, this one's going to finish in his favor, and these 8 laps are going to go to him with DeRitter, Hilton, and Reynolds getting those points-paying positions behind. But it's I don't think it's going to set you up very well to prepare for the actual feature, just because it's going to get really bumpy and really slick up there. So we'll have to see how much more of that wall riding happens, and those right rears are going to probably not be forgiven very much here tonight.
No, it's going to be a rough race around the outside of this place, and Port Royal is sure to put on a show for us once we get going. And like you say, it's kind of like our super speedway, Joe. It's going to be wild. It's going to be, there's a lot of room to make mistakes, hopefully a lot of room to have at least some forgiveness between drivers in the first half of this. I know one of the series organizers, Corby Daniels, mentioned kind of pre-race, like, yeah, everybody mind your P's and Q's. A lot of us haven't been on the sims. A lot of us haven't been on the rig in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So let's just take it easy, mind our P's and Q's, and hopefully we're going to get through some clean and green racing to start. But I don't know what to expect from this race yet, Joe.
Yeah, I'm expecting a little bit more of that slide job action we got examples of. I'm expecting the high side to kind of be dominant, but I'm sure that we're going to have bottom feeders getting a good advantage as the night goes on, because the top's so good at Port Royal, but once it gets really worn out, and they are wearing the track down even now in this 5 minutes of warm-up we have for you, they're going to make it a little bit racier as the actual feature itself goes on, so 75 laps to do that. We'll take a quick moment. Why don't we thank some of our partners here with the BRP iRacing series. MDR Designs, competitively priced graphic design work for company logos, iRacing cars, any other branding, they've got the solution for you. You can contact Matt DeRitter or go to Facebook to request a quote or appointment today. I want to thank GM Performance for being on board this season. If you know, you know. Creative Turnings, based out of Waterford, Connecticut. They offer wood and acrylic household items such as pens, bowls, candlesticks, charcuterie boards, and much more. Valentine's Day is coming up, gentlemen. You know the saying, happy wife, happy life. Well, head on over to the Facebook page for Creative Turnings and get something nice. There's good, heartfelt, homemade gifts available from Creative Turnings. The Super Dirt Car Series, the ground-pounding, earth-rattling beasts of the Northeast, are the premier touring modified racing series in North America. Season's not super close, but it's getting there, so you want to go on and head over to superdirtcarseries.com and check out when they're going to be close to you so you can head over to your favorite local track and see the guys in action. And, of course, Dirt Vision is a great source to watch them and follow all season long. Dig Race Products, a sole-focused Northeast dirt modified shocks and suspension tuning company located in central New York, the industry leader in trackside shock and setup support. You can visit digraceproducts.com for more information and to shop online anytime, but they're always at the track working on what they've got. We're bringing it to you from BRPtv, and we're happy to be the provider of coverage for all the partners, drivers, and fans of this Edge of Seat Racing series. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to enable notifications for when we go live, and keep with us on Facebook. 47 Technology is providing custom decor and solutions, 3D printed for retail and personal collectibles of your wildest creations. Previous projects include trophies, Christmas ornaments, fidget devices, and home decor. Visit their Etsy shop to see what's available and to reach out for custom printing requests. And, of course, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. On behalf of Jonathan, a great source of Southern Ontario's premier racers and members of the community, and just a good way to stay in touch with all of your favorite people from Canada, like me. So you can head to the link in the description and catch up and prepare for the next season of coverage coming to you. We are at the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75. On behalf of Jonathan Howe, we are in warm-up. There's about a minute and a half left. Anything to note or any observations you want to make heard, Jonathan, so you can make yourself sound smart for the feature?
Well, you know, something I'm thinking about here, Joe, is comparatively to some of the racetracks we've seen, this is obviously one of the bigger races that we've had, longest distance races in terms of actual track length. And then it's also one of the lighter fields we've had. Only 20 drivers out there, and I know it's only a few less cars than maybe we've seen at other races throughout the season, but with the surface area of this racetrack and with fewer cars on it, I wonder if maybe we won't see the kind of wear that we've seen in other events where other lanes start to come in or the top side goes away. Maybe there's just not enough race cars out there to really take away the outside groove from some of these dominant drivers. But only one way to find out, and that's going to be taking the green flag in just a few moments.
That's a great point. One of the things we have to consider is the length of this race is fairly, long for how big the track is. I saw Tyler Pachalski taking a little picture there in Victory Lane. He might be trying to write his ticket for later. But, yeah, you're right. There's not as many guys. There's only 20 of them out here, which is the smallest field we've had for this season. A lot of guys, getting finished up on the holidays or just work, things going on. The Chili Bowl's going on right now, so don't give me any spoilers in the comments. I will be watching it back when the race is over tonight. But Jamie Porter fastest once again. We'll see if that tells the tale of what's to come in the feature tonight. Starting grid popping up on your screen. Mr. Jonathan, what do we got for us?
Cody Higbee going to lead us to green alongside the pistol Jamie Porter. On the inside of row number 2, Brandon Plank alongside the 0-3 of Matt DeRitter. Jeff Sharp will be rolling off 5th in the 28 machine alongside Adam Hilton in the 3. Then it's Pat Reiser in the 33 alongside the 79 of Dean Reynolds. Travis Cunningham, representing the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, will line up 9th, one of his best starts of the year. And Gavin Isley, somebody who we're used to seeing start up front, is going to have to come from 10th place.
Starting in 11th on this grid, out of Pennsylvania himself, is going to be Dean Meitzler in car number 49. To his outside is going to be Tyler Pachalski in the number 21 car. Ryan Beagle has won a race this season in the 84 machine. The big dog in the Auckland Insurance APC Auto Parts car will roll off 13th. The Beef, Corby Daniels, the BRP iRacing Series Beef Esports number 88 goes 14th. Dave DiPetro running his throwback 27Z is going to be from 15th, scored as car number 68. The Slight Electrical number 2 of Alan Slight will start 16th. On the inside of row number 9 is the unsponsored number 96. He's out of St. Catharines, Canada. That's Richie Pereira. Then we've got the Thriller, the Dragon Slayer, Travis Miller in the number 22 car to his outside, also out of the Great North. Then the final row on the grid, starting in 19th in the number 38. He ran at Allentown this past weekend in the indoor auto racing scene. Number 38 is Ryan Susi. And starting to the outside of him in the number 71 out of Canada as well, that is Liam Daniels, the brother of the Beef. And the grid is set. And we've got, what a good we got a full lap for the guys at the back end before we go green. And the distance is 75 laps, Mr. Howe. I think I'm ready. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm fired up. I've got my focus solely on this race. I've turned away from the Sabres game, which has not been very nice to watch thus far, but that's okay because we are ready to go 75 laps at Port Royal, representing Southern Ontario Dirt Show, my podcast with Travis Cunningham, Higbee, and Porter on the front row for this one. Joe, this is going to be a blast. Take us to green, buddy.
This is going to be a blast. So on your feet and ready to go. Port Royal Speedway is about to light up with 20 of the biggest, baddest dirt modified drivers on iRacing. The green flag, we're waiting for it. Higbee, Ed Porter, bring us there. And it's go time into turn number 1 at the Speed Palace.
Cody Higbee to the lead using the bottom side. Hits a little bit of a bump, though, and that's going to jam up the front of this field. Cars stacking up behind him. Jamie Porter going for the lead through 3 and 4, using a bit of a middle to high groove here. Instead, he's going to surrender a spot as he's being challenged on the outside by Brandon Plank.
As they come in again, maybe a little bit of a slide attempt from the 45 of Jamie Porter. Now Plank's going to get a run on the top side as well. The momentum's still favoring up top. Porter trying to slide in line. Can't quite do it in 3 and 4. Ooh, we got one riding the wall back there. That was the Beef, Corby Daniels. We stay green.
Down into corner number 1, tight racing amongst the top 6. 6 cars under a blanket, a couple cars working down low. I believe that's Jeff Sharp who's trying to make a move on the inside there. Down into 3 and 4, still a couple cars looking on the inside, but haven't been able to make any forward progress yet. But Brandon Plank is committed to the bottom, and see he's going for the lead, at least second place. Can't keep it stuck alongside Jamie Porter or our leader, Cody Higbee, as they're still battling inside the top 6.
We got a nose-to-tail freight train up top. Jeff Sharp kind of getting a little bit exploratious. And actually, you know what? Travis Cunningham's doing okay in the middle right now. I wonder if that 90 car is leading a charge of guys who can kind of get a little bit of that top banking, but get down far enough that they're running on racetrack that hasn't gotten used up yet. Well, he goes way to the bottom in 3 and 4, and Reiser keeps banging the boards up top. That might give the 90 car an advantage, and it does move Travis Cunningham to 7th, and that's definitely a car to watch.
Yeah, Travis Cunningham representing well tonight thus far. Typically a bottom field feeder in the real world, but as a sprint car driver, it's a little bit different than what he might be used to. Has had some success and had a pretty long run in the modifieds in the past, but this guy is committed to sprint car racing right now. And as much as I want to see him back in a modified, I don't think we're getting that necessarily in 2023, but I do think that he's done a great job representing already. He made another move as it looks like he's gotten around Dean Reynolds, I believe, now as well.
He has Reynolds closing in a little bit. We'll jump back here quick and check in on Gavin Isley. He is the points leader. He started pretty poorly, but not doing too bad right now. There's plenty of race left, but that number 18 car running on the high side in front of Beagle, right behind Reiser. He's got Pachalski to the inside, trying to make a run in the 21 Nickel Street machine, and bangs a little board, diamonds off, and that is going to be a pass for Isley. He's getting close to that top 10, only in 11th spot right now.
Yeah, Isley actually started 10th, so he's fallen back a little bit at the start of this one, and it's kind of weird to see him don't want to necessarily call this off pace, but with the difficulty level of how passing has gone so far in this one, it's going to be very hard, and he's going to have to be very patient as he picks his way forward through this field.
We'll check back in with our race leaders. Brandon Plank in second place has about a second and 3/10 of a gap in between himself and Jamie Porter, who leads the way. Let's go on board with second place. We'll see if, Jamie Porter's very clearly in front of him, and I would say within reach, maybe not immediately, but over time, you can see how much we've used up the top side of this racetrack. Brandon diamonds off very nicely down the front stretch now, and he's going to send it in. Try to see if maybe a slider line's going to give him anything to fight with that 45 car, but for the moment, I think it's safe to say he's going to need a yellow to get back into grasp here.
Yeah, Porter has really got that 45 hooked up, and he's just driving away. Very consistent line, too. He has not really missed his marks for the last several laps as we were watching at the front side of Brandon Plank. You can see just barely maybe kissed the outside wall, but he just is running away, driving away. Brandon Plank has even driven away from this field just a little bit, and he's still not nearly close to being within striking distance. And then here we got a little 4-car pack as Matt DeRitter's up to third now and trying to hang on to that spot while Cody Higbee tries a massive slider in front of him. Underneath goes DeRitter, and they're side by side down the backstretch into 3 and 4.
Yeah, and there goes DeRitter again. I think the reason Plank got away from these guys is because of how much they're racing each other. Cody Higbee in the 97, Matt DeRitter in the 03. The 3A is Adam Hilton, and 28 is Jeff Sharp. Really racing each other well right now. I don't want to jinx it, but props to them. We're 15 laps into this race, and this group making a hell of a show of it.
Yeah, absolutely. 3rd through 6th is what we're seeing on the screen right now as they come down the front stretch. Higbee and DeRitter have traded spots a couple more times. Hilton sitting there in the 3-car inside the top 5, having a good run. Hilton, I think he's had a lot of speed, a lot of pace throughout this season, but maybe necessarily hasn't had the consistent finishes that he's wanted or that we maybe have expected based on some of his track positioning throughout the season thus far. But good to see him up inside the top 5 right now as he is looking to the outside, maybe thinking about making a move on DeRitter. Not able to do it. He'll cross to the inside through 3 and 4, slide up in front of Jeff Sharp, and now Sharp's going to go for the crossover move as it looks like they're going to have a little discussion over the 5th position.
Yeah, DeRitter and Sharp. I really like what I'm seeing in terms of they're running all over the place on the track. We have a nice top line that's working well for the guys who are willing to get a little treacherous up there. Jeff Sharp giving a good example of what the middle line's capable of, and then we'll jump back here because, Alan Slight, Travis Miller, these guys back here have been trying to run the low side. Now you see Slight kind of go to the middle, but maybe diamond off a little. Ryan Beagle, man, that's a run and a half up on the top side. Unfortunately, it's a mile and a half longer up there, but nonetheless, we got maybe even you could argue 3 good lines to get around this racetrack right now.
Yeah, the groove is definitely widening out a bit more than I expected at this early on into it, which is a good sign for later in the race that these guys are going to have lots of room to pass. Got to give a call to the big dog, Ryan Beagle, past guest of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, where we talked about his success in the street stocks, one of the best street stock, thunder stock, Hoosier stock, whatever you want to call them. They all have seemingly a different name around Southern Ontario, depending on which racetrack you're at. But either way, he really is one of the masters of the street stock. As we all see, oh no, my pal, Travis Cunningham. He fences it, and he's flipped over, running inside the top 10. Oh, and somebody else got a piece of it. A couple more cars piling in as Travis Cunningham just got a little bit too close to that wall. And that is a tough break for my buddy.
Gavin Isley and Travis Miller also got a bit caught up in this. I think the Beef got a piece. Yeah, the Beef's on the pit lane here. Well, unfortunately, Jonathan, we're going to have to pull a replay, and unfortunately, it's going to be on the behalf of the car sponsored by the event sponsor. And we'll get this back up. Here's Travis Cunningham on the outside of turn 2, and we'll just watch him hit the wall on the exit of 2, and he's never going to escape this wall. Alan Slight, actually.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of help from that 2 car. He might have been fine if Slight didn't run into the back of them, but obviously when Travis was slowing down that much, obviously, and then Isley piles in there, nowhere for Gavin Isley to go as Travis came back to all fours, tags the 18 who goes for a wild ride, and I think Travis Miller gets a piece of it too. But yeah, that was almost a save. He almost got away with the bouncing off the wall, but as soon as you have Alan Slate coming in with that much speed from behind, it seems like the cars are going to go tip topsy-turvy in a game like this, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to play the game of pointing fingers, and, that happened so quickly for Alan Slate.
Oh, no, yeah, it's not his fault. There's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
You just see a guy slowing down in front of you, and then you're just kind of in trouble, right? It's the way she goes. But tough break for Travis, having such a good run. Tough break for Travis Miller and Gavin Isley, who are both working their way through this field. You can see here, yeah, a little bit of just nothing that Alan can do. Once he's in that groove, he's committed, and you can see Travis was pretty bouncy all over the place there, getting a lot of airtime. Not necessarily kind of airtime that the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast driver wanted to have, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's airtime. I guess it's putting a logo on the screen, but unfortunately for Travis Cunningham, he's going to go, what was he up in 8th place, 7th place, and now he's back to 18th. Gavin Isley went with him, too. That's a tough break for those guys.
And you know what, Joe? I don't want to jinx this here, but that was our first caution. We got some 20-plus laps of green flag action before we had our first caution, so good on this field of drivers doing exactly what we all hoped they would, minding their P's and Q's early, making sure to give each other the space that they all need coming out of this break and before everybody settles back into this driving rhythm. And here we go, green flag once again. Jamie Porter with a good jump, but Brandon Plank hanging tough with them. Let's see if Jamie Porter can hold off Brandon Plank, who really needed that caution to get back in the mix.
Plank needed the yellow, and he got it. Now Adam Hilton is capitalizing, and he's there. Right behind the 45 car on the top side of the racetrack. It seems like the top's the preferred way to get around on a good opening lap after the restart. Hilton goes way high. He has taken over second place from Brandon Plank. Jamie Porter leads the way. Isley just getting out of the pits. The Beef Corby Daniels pulled off a little while ago. And we bring a yellow back out, and this one's going to be, I think, because of... we'll just have to double-check this, but I'm thinking this is going to be the result of a car coming out on the racetrack from the pit lane, and it's either the game or it's organizational caution, because there's no issues out on the track right now.
Yeah, it might be just kind of getting everything restacked and reset. Maybe we threw a little green before. I don't know if we threw green before Gavin Isley was supposed to be out there or what happened there. But either way, we'll get a little bit of a re-rack here, reset. And the good thing about this one is, yes, caution laps count, so that nobody ever wakes up. But with how big this racetrack is, you don't necessarily need all that many caution laps to get things sorted out, and we can get back racing a little bit quicker.
Very true. We're going to just go check a quick replay just to double check that this yellow wasn't Richie Pereira. Oh, it actually was Richie Pereira. Okay, well, there it is. He got it squared away very quickly, so we didn't have time to actually see him. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, that's a yellow, all right. That's a very Mike Wagner-esque kind of roll right there from Richie. But you see, he lands on his wheels pointed the right direction, and that's why it took us a second to figure out he was the cause. But, yeah, that's a pretty wild ride there.
Yeah, he was trying to sell it. Like, it's like one of those things you ever see, like a little kid fall down and, like, take a pretty hard spill, and then they're immediately just back on their feet. Like, what? I didn't, nothing happened. I'm fine. That's kind of what we just saw from Richie Pereira in his race car, because tags the outside wall on the front stretch, then heads into this corner, gets a little bit of help maybe from Travis Miller, and then just over and over she goes.
Well, I think another unfortunate thing to note here is that part of this was getting a little topsy-turvy from contact with Alan Slight during the run down the front stretch for Richie. So unfortunately, Alan Slight kind of, by the ways of the wind, involved in some shape or form with another yellow here as the green flag comes back out, and we can go back to green flag racing. Richie Pereira's got it a little loose right now. There's plenty of damage on that car, but hey, Hanging tough. That's one of my favorite New Kids on the Block songs, and that's what Richie Pereira's doing right now.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight from the back alongside Travis Cunningham, Gavin Isley, a few others who have been involved in incidents as we work lap 31. Coming to lap 32 now with Jamie Porter still out in front, looking like the dominant driver. He was fast in warm-ups, fast in practice, fast in his heat, fast in qualifying, and he has just found a little something extra here tonight, which is good news for Jamie Porter, who could use a strong, solid run. He's had some good runs throughout the season, but maybe another driver who would like to be a little bit more consistent and be able to get up there and challenge the likes of a Brandon Plank or a Gavin Isley for a championship lead.
You're absolutely right about that, Jonathan. And, man, look at this racing we got going on in the mid-pack. They are all over the racetrack, 3 wide at times. This is pretty good stuff right now, even though a lot of these guys kind of getting in line now. This is an exciting space to be in, and I hate to say it, but it's a lot more exciting than Jamie Porter, because he has taken this race just by a stranglehold, and he is very easily leading the way still.
You know, it's exciting to watch Porter right now because he is definitely dancing on the edge, pushing the cushion, pushing to the wall, but you know what? He really hasn't made a mistake, and even when he does maybe make a little wall tap or something, he's still able to keep his foot in it and drive away from Brandon Plank. This has been a very impressive performance from Porter thus far, and I don't think I'm surprised, but I am surprised that Brandon Plank has just not been able to necessarily hang with him. Just something that Porter has found is working for him here tonight. We'll see. You know, we're still not even quite at halfway just yet, so there's going to be some time. There's going to be some track changes. But, man, Jamie Porter putting on a performance. This time, our top 5's gotten a little bit more spread out. Closest battle is probably there between Adam Hilton, who's running in third. And, we got an issue at the back. It looks like the 49 of Dean Meitzler is going to bring out a yellow.
Yeah, Meitzler involved. I was just about to say Plank got around Hilton on the restart. There goes our friend Dave DiPetro to the pits. I'm sure that's going to be damage fixing time for him. Dean Reynolds, one of our Pennsylvanians in the series. Actually, I think the only Pennsylvanian here racing tonight. The other Pennsylvanian is yours truly. Let's get a replay and see what happens to him and DiPetro and maybe Liam Daniels into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think maybe Richie Pereira is going to get a piece of it too. But it looks like Meitzler's going to just barely tag. And then Liam Daniels piling in there. 3-car incident. And Pereira's going to pile in there as well, get a piece of it. 4 cars involved in that one. Tough break for Dean Meitzler, who it was just one of those racing deals. Meitzler was on the gas and got involved in that one just a little bit more than probably any of us wanted to see, but that's okay. We'll re-rack him, get him stacked up again, and more. I don't want to be that guy who points out, how misfortunes play into the hands for others, but those are another couple spots for Travis Cunningham, who's picked up maybe back inside the top 15, I think, now.
That is correct. He is running in 14th position, and you're right. But that's part of the game. That's part of the game every week is staying out of trouble. We can look back at, I think Volusia was the one where our winner of that event was the only person who had at least one of the few who had a clean car at the end, and that was Brandon Plank. And even last season, a big factor in every race was just not getting involved in yellows, whether by your own doing, the fault of others, or the fault of nobody at all. So, whether or not close, what are we? We halfway? Yeah, we're halfway. So, little past halfway now, whether you want it or not, whether you like it or not, that's a factor. And for Travis Cunningham, that's a factor that gets him to the top side of row number 7 for our next restart. We've got 40 laps down, so 35 to go. And Jamie Porter with another excellent restart. Hilton, is Hilton going to get up there? Nah, he didn't want to send it too deep.
No, I think if that was the last lap of the race, he might have pushed it a little bit further. But Brandon Plank sticking with Porter a little bit better on this particular restart. Maybe the best one so far in terms of Plank's ability to hang with Porter. As we see now, Porter driving off. And I think, there's the yellow. Yellow is waving here. We'll see what happened with this particular incident as we're back under caution.
And it's going to be at the fault of Mr. Pachalski and Mr. Pereira once again at the tail end of this group. So let's bring this one backwards. And, oh boy. So we'll go from the restart here, Jonathan.
Yeah, this one started pretty early, it looks like. Everything looking good coming down the front stretch.
Ooh,
And then, there it is. Pachalski takes a big bounce into the outside wall, comes back across the track, grabs Pereira, and then it's on. A couple more cars. It looks like Pat Reiser in his tribute car got a piece of that one as well. His throwback number 8 machine.
Nice little 360 there, though.
Yeah. Little pirouette. Keep it going.
Yeah.
French judges give it a 10.10.
All right. Well, hey, he might be at the tail end of the field, but if you got the French judges giving you a 10, you know you did a good job. And we'll bring them back to live time. Out of the replay, we might get a single file restart here, Jonathan, as a result of immediate carnage from the restart. They usually do this with the BRP iRacing series just to kind of get the race going again. You don't want to spend all night going under yellow. So Alan Slight, also at the tail end of this one, I think he might have gotten a end-of-line penalty for being involved in this. And unfortunately, that is a name we've said a couple times for being involved in accidents, and it really hasn't seemed like any of them are a fault of his own.
Yeah, it's tough. Going to be a tough night. One of the nights. Have we seen Gavin miss a race yet? I'm trying to think for whether he can use a drop week potentially on this particular night, but I'm not 100% sure.
I believe we have yet to see Isley miss a race as the green flag's going to come back out. And we are underway once again. Isley has made every start of the season so far. So this could be a drop week if he needs to use it, but it would be a shame to use it on a week where there's only 20 cars on track.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of cars on track, we've got a pass for the lead. Jamie Porter did not get the same restart that he was looking for, and looks like we got a caution brewing at least. As 2-3 cars involved at the back of this pack should bring out the yellow flag once again.
There it
Alan
is.
Slate. Yep, there it is. A little bit of a delayed yellow, but Slate involved, and I believe Liam Daniels also gets a piece of this one, and we will see what happens here. As, yeah, it's been a tough break for Alan Slate. Ever since he got to the back of the pack with a little bit of carnage, he's really struggled.
And here we are. There is the number 71. He's to the outside of Reiser, and I really don't know when this is going to happen. Oh, actually, it already did. Travis Cunningham got up into the wall a little there, and, oh, man, Alan Slight, that is so unfortunate. We'll get a replay back again, but what happened was Cunningham just clipped the wall a little too much, and Liam kind of packed into the top side with him. But here is Alan Slight trying to avoid. Why don't we go on board? Why not? Let's try it. So we're on board. Pereira's to the outside here. Pereira kind of comes down to avoid those two, and a wild ride is going to ensue for the number 2, as well as Pereira, who just tries to get through there. Isley avoids it all. And then this is the fun part. This is going to frustrate the ever-living daylight out of Alan Slight. He grip flips it after all of that calamity. He does do
a monster truck.
Yeah, he does do a rollover. Adam Anderson would be very proud. And that brings out the yellow.
Yeah, so tough break started again with Travis Cunningham, who, it's so funny in real life, I'm always bugging him to stay off the bottom side. He had one incident where he was running really well at Oshweekend Speedway and clipped the inside barrier, tore some of his car up, and he was pretty frustrated and angry with himself in that particular incident. And now tonight, it's the outside wall that's getting him. So I almost feel like Travis has got to get back to being a bottom feeder for his own safety out there.
I'm curious what's going on right here. They actually, in iRacing, you don't have to follow the inside of turns 1 and 2 to get back out onto the racetrack. That might be a race control thing, but Alan Slight's just parked it. I actually regularly go stand literally right where he's parked right here for taking pictures of beautiful race cars at this place. And Alan Slight might be calling it for the night. He took it back to the pits. We go single file on the restart. Brandon Plank has actually acquired the lead at some point here. We've been so caught up in these accidents. Brandon Plank took over the race lead from Jamie Porter. And here we go, back to racing. Looking for his 4th win of the season to Porter, who has yet to win a race this season.
Yeah, Porter's been the dominant car for the first half of this one, and now we'll see as these cautions have added up. Look at the move there. I believe that's Hilton making the move to the inside. And the 3 car, yes, it is working to the inside alongside the pistol. Maybe even looking for the lead as he slings it around the inside once again, but can't make it stick through 1 and 2. Now he's going to have to play a little bit of defense here. That's Cody Higbee, I believe, running up on him in the 97. Cody Higbee making a good little charge to the field, back to the front of this one, and looking for a top 3 spot to break into the podium. And
Plank and Porter and Hilton, and there's Higbee on the bottom. DeRitter's in the top 5. Matt's got a good run going. We remember talking to Matt about the run at Lanier last time out where he got 2nd place. Was it a momentum builder? Apparently it was, because DeRitter's fighting for 4th with Cody Higbee right now in that 03 car. They're all running to the top side. Susie's the first one to kind of take the middle line. You can see that the track's got some grip there. Somebody, I think, caught the wall a little bit. Pat Reiser might be the one bringing us yellow, and he is the number 8 car in turn number 4.
Yeah, a tough break again for Pat, who has been involved in a couple of incidents that have not necessarily been his own making, but that one appears to be his. We'll find out here when we get a replay exactly what happened in this throwback number 8 car.
And here we go down the backstretch. He is squirrely down the back chute. Pachalski right behind him, and beside him, DePetro in front, Meitzler behind, and that's just wheel-to-wheel contact. And unfortunately, he's going to get a little extra help from the 49 car. Isley does a great job getting around that, and Liam Daniels gets a Code Brown moment out of it too. And not too bad of a flip. Could be worse, could be better. I mean, it could have been better, could have not happened at all, but not terrible for Pat compared to what we've seen happen so far tonight.
No, definitely not the worst incident he's been involved with, but still a tough break regardless for him. And tough break for, I'm worried about the pistol. I mean, Jamie Porter, he's going to need some green flag laps to work over Brandon Plank if he wants that lead back. And we've seen how fast he can be on long stretches under green. But if we keep getting short runs between cautions, it might be tough to get back by Brandon Plank, who's just been so dominant all year.
Yeah, a dominant might be understatement of the day. Brandon Plank has been pretty phenomenal, but I wouldn't quite count out Jamie Porter. He's currently 4th coming in power rankings, even though he's only got 2 podiums to his name out of 6 races compared to Gavin Isley with 5 and Brandon Plank with 4. He's had a couple moments of quiet brilliance so far this season, though, that I think could summate into the 2023 portion of this season being something special for him. He's won a couple races in the past with this series. He's never been one of those guys to win a bunch of races in a season, but he usually gets 1, if not 2. And maybe his first one could be tonight to start off 2023. I don't really think I could see any better way to do it. And the green flag comes back out. We are 57 laps into this race at the line. We are closing in on 10 to go, slowly but surely.
And Jamie Porter tries the big slider there through 1 and 2 to keep pace with Plank, and instead he's going to come under fire for that 2nd position. But look at him go again, throwing the slider, but can't get up in front of Plank in the 77. He does get in front of a little bit of contact there. Susie and DeRitter get together. Everybody keeps it clean and green on the front stretch there, but close moments between a couple of our front runners.
Yeah, they're getting a little squirrely there in the mid-pack. Everybody's getting close together. Now Hilton tries to send in a half from the bottom. He lets up because he didn't want to cause an accident with the 45 car, and good on him for doing so, because that would have been a yellow, and a pretty significant group of cars crashed. He has to slot into 3rd now as Brandon Plank has watched these two fight the last 2 laps, put a little bit of a gap between himself and the 45, but I wouldn't quite give up yet because Porter seems to be able to get the time back.
Yeah, Porter hanging with him on the outside. We saw how fast the 45 was all race long up on the outside, and he is not letting Plank drive away just yet. Plank using the advantage he built on the first couple laps while Porter had to play defense from Adam Hilton, but Porter keeping him honest for sure.
There's a good battle going on for fourth, and the yellow comes out, and this one I think is going to be on Dean Meitzler. There was a really good battle for fourth starting, and I was going to mention that Jamie Porter was taking about a tenth of a second off of Plank every set of turns, which would have taken him about 2 more laps to make a pass from that point, but unfortunately we bring you another yellow. Here in the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75, the 49, the hometown kiddo here, is Dean Meitzler, and he's going to get involved with Liam Daniels in 1 and 2. We'll bring you back the replay. We're starting from the short end of the front stretch. Pereira in front of him, and the number 71. We'll wait for the big slide here. It should be just a big time. Not enough brake, and a little tap, and a little pirouette.
Yeah, tough break there for Meitzler. Not something that Liam Daniels meant to do necessarily, but just tough, hard racing at the back of the pack a little bit. Everybody's pushing the envelope now. It is time to go. It is time to get focused, time to get on it, and we'll see. I think we're going to start to see some of the similar incidents potentially at the front of this field. That last green flag run, Hilton was really trying to make the sliders move. Jamie Porter, a couple more green flag laps, he would have been there, but what's it going to take to get past Brandon Plank? That's a whole other question and a whole other story. Starting to turn out to be an exciting conclusion to this one.
It is. They're getting ready to go here for the restart, going double file, and you got that one right. I think we're going to be in for a really good show now that we've got re-racked and restacked. We've got Brandon Plank and Jamie Porter right beside each other. Higbee, who's had a good start to the night and kind of been consistently there, right outside of Adam Hilton, who's had a couple haymakers. Matt DeRitter's been strong. Ryan Beagle very quietly has gotten himself up into this front group, and he could be a factor. Ryan Susi, Dean Reynolds, they've been solid. Travis Miller and Jeff Sharp are also there. They are just looking in from the tail end of the top 10 as the green flag comes back out. 64 laps complete at the line, and Brandon Plank has a huge lead into turn 1.
Yeah, that was not a good start from Porter, and look at Hilton trying to go to the lead, and Porter's got a lift. Hilton to second as he slides up in front. Now there's 3-4 cars bouncing off each other inside the top 5.
Whoa.
And they're starting to flip and get airborne in the back of the pack here as 2 cars up on their side. I believe that's Riser again, and the 28 of Jeff Sharp also gets a piece of that one.
Jeff Sharp sent it right back to the pit. Oh, there's a lot of damage on that 8 car. Yep, he's going to go right back in and just tow that machine. Let's try to figure out what happens here. This is going to be fun to break down. Where's Jeff Sharp? There's Jeff Sharp. Well, let's see this whole calamity instance of 4 wide on the backstretch, and then this is where it really happens.
Yeah. Sharp has to lift to avoid Higbee, who was bouncing off DeRitter, who was sandwiched in between 2 cars, and Beagle was on the outside of Higbee. So there's 4 cars, I think, coming off 4 wide off of turn 2, and yeah, it just did not turn out well for Jeff Sharp, and Riser obviously nowhere to go. He's gonna basically drive into the 28 as it's turned sideways on the straightaway. Just really, really tough break for both drivers involved. Nothing they could do about it as everybody fighting for every last inch. They can smell the victory. They can smell that we are looking for 10 to go, I think, close to it, 15
yes, sir.
to go?
We're going to be just under 10 to go. I think we'll be at 8. Well, I can just pull this up and we can look at it. So we're going to be 9 at the line here. We probably are going to get a single file restart, though. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt Adam Hilton.
You know who it might help is Jamie Porter, because he has definitely struggled on the outside, and with not just the leader to watch, but a second car there, I would not be surprised as, it looks like we're going to get a double file restart. It looks like they're lining up that way. So now we'll see. The inside row 2 is where Hilton made that big move. So can Porter give something back to Hilton to take over that second spot and be the driver up for the challenge of taking on Brandon Plank? So it's Plank, Hilton, Porter, then Ryan Susi, Ryan Beagle, your top 5 in this one. Getting ready to come back to green. And it's a good start from Porter on the inside. Hilton, another driver just on the outside, struggling when it comes back to going green here. Plank will lead, and everybody going 3-4 wide as the field fans out up off of 2 and into 3 and 4.
Porter sends it in from the middle. He gets past Adam Hilton. Will Hilton cross him over? Down the front chute, 7 at the line. For Jamie Porter to the top. Hilton slide job to the top of the track, over under for the pistol. They're side by side into turn number 3. He'll return the favor into turn 3, and he'll get to the top as quick as he can. That 45 car, we know he's fast, but look who's also fast. The number 84 of Ryan Beagle as he gets up into the top 4 now.
The big dog inside the top 5, battling with Ryan Susi. Look at the bumps. You can see these drivers bouncing around on the top side of the racetrack. Porter trying to hang on a second as we see another big slider. I wonder how many more times Hilton is going to be able to get away with that move before Porter just drives into the back of him. I guess as long as there's still a way that he can do the kind of undercut crossover move look at the bumps in turn 1 and 2.
Man, Adam Hilton's going to use up the end of that car. Miller, a little bit of a love tap to Beagle there. Plank got into the wall a ton into the corner. Porter's knocking it hard. Man, they're all over the place, and this is Speed Palace Racing. Oh, Ryan Susi hit the inside wall there.
Wow, and look at Gavin Isley up into the mix now. Where did he come from? After how many incidents he has been involved with, suddenly he's a factor inside the top 10 in this one. Plank running away with it, trying to hold off Jamie Porter, who's been fast on the outside. And if this can stay green, we might see one heck of a run to the finish down the back straightaway. Porter closes into 3 and 4, gains so much time on entry. That is down to about a car length and a half as they come up off of corner number 4, coming to 2 to go. Popsicle 6 in the air.
So into 1 and 2 again, banging the boards. Porter trying to get a good run off the corner. He got it a little squirrely in turn 2 there. Brandon Plank into 3. This is where Porter really gains the time. It's going to give him maybe a good opportunity to put something together down the front chute as the white flag's going to come out. One more lap in the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75. Porter with the lead through Plank with the lead to Porter as they come down the backstretch. Jonathan, take us home, bud.
Into 3 and 4. Here comes the big slider. Can Porter make it stick? He gets alongside. He's not going to be able to get there. Brandon Plank's going to get the win, and he'll take yet another victory on the season, winning the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast 75 over Jamie Porter, and Adam Hilton brings it home third. 75 laps at Port Royal, and it did not disappoint.
It definitely did not disappoint, and we got to give huge props to Jamie Porter for an excellent run. Travis Miller and Ryan Beagle for putting together, I don't know what, but they got themselves into the top 5 at the very end. Adam Hilton with, what is this going to be, his first top 3 of the season, only his second top 5. What a show. And man, what a track. And they raced it well, and I really think that warm-up session makes the difference here on how well this race went.
Yeah, that's a great point. The warm-up session gave the guys a couple extra laps to work in the racetrack, gave the guys a couple extra laps to get to know this racetrack, get the dust off after a pretty long, extended break. As you see Dean Reynolds coming in there, giving a little bit of a nose tap to Brandon Plank, who's got the Dig race car 77 in Port Royal Speedway victory lane. And we'll catch up with Brandon shortly here on this one as we get the other drivers staged in here for their podium moments. But wow, what a good race. Good race at the front of the field too. Brandon Plank really had to work to hold off Jamie Porter.
Yes, he did. So we'll take a quick second here, let the guys kind of get out of the cars, cool down a quick second, maybe get a little drink in, a little water, and we will bring you our top 5. We're going to start with Brandon Plank and Jonathan Howe alongside each other. And Jonathan, here he comes, coming right to you, your race winner for the 4th time this season.
Brandon Plank, 4 wins on the season now. You start the return after the holiday break with a big win at Port Royal Speedway. Just talk to us about your drive tonight and holding off the pistol, Jamie Porter.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if I was gonna hold him off, or was even gonna get by him. I mean, it really just kind of took one mistake. He slapped the wall pretty good on that restart, and it's really tough. It's so rough up there that you get in a little bit too hot, and you end up with the right rear in the wall, and you don't drive in enough. You end up with the right front in the wall. It's a tricky place, but no, happy with the run, and I don't have a ton of laps here, so I got a good schooling session from my dad before. Before I headed home and, at work. And, he just helped me through a couple things with keeping momentum up, and it seemed to be good. So
talk to us about being up at the front of this racetrack, because it seemed like, for the most part, inside the top 5, there was good racing from about third on back. But when you were out there on the top 1, 2, 3 race cars, it was really, really hard to pass, it seems like. Was it just that Jamie Porter was so much better throughout the early part of this race and on the green flag runs, or was it really hard to pass in this racetrack?
Yeah, difficult to pass, mainly because you're trying to be offensive and make a move on the guy ahead of you. But the instant that you do that, you kind of open yourself up to getting passed from the guy behind you, right? The instant you pull out of line, you take a big chance there. If you don't complete a slider or end up in the middle of the track, the person that's behind you and most likely up top kind of beating the wall down is going to have a lot of momentum, and you can't just step in front of them, right? So I think that's what makes it tricky. Once the race got strung out a little bit, I felt like I was beginning to kind of formulate working on Jamie there when there was a big gap kind of behind us. But until then, you don't really want to try to pull a big slider and take each other out, and you don't want to try to pull a big slider and get past either. So I think that's what makes it so difficult, to make up positions or to gain positions.
Well, Brandon, who do you want to thank for the win, the 4th on the year, in what has been a very, very strong year from you in the 77?
Yeah, thanks. Traditional Lacrosse, Ultra Fab, 4 wides on this car too. It's really cool to be able to represent those guys, and thank you guys and Beef and Matt, and this is such a cool deal that you put on, and I'm glad to be back in the racing season here, and the break's over.
Congratulations, Brandon Plank, your winner from Port Royal in the Southern Ontario Dirt Show 75.
And with Brandon Plank comes a guy who, man, I'm interested to hear what he has to say about how well he ran this race. Jamie Porter, Joe Donahue up in the commentary box. You got a copy, boss?
I gotcha.
Oh, Jamie, you had a hell of a car tonight, my man. That was a phenomenal run with that 45 machine.
Yeah, I thought I had it until I messed up in 1 and 2 that one time, and I knew I couldn't afford any mistakes with the field that I had behind me there. I think it just came down to whoever had the preferred lane was going to win it.
Well, talk to us about that preferred lane, because at the very end of this race, the preferred lane didn't look like it would have been very preferable. It was pretty bumpy and treacherous up at the top of the racetrack, especially at the end of the show. How do you keep control of that car and point it in the right direction? I mean, the wall helped you a lot, but it can only help you so much.
Yeah, I think for the most part, you're just closing your eyes and hoping to get through it. The top got real rough there at the end, but once you bounce it off the wall a couple times, I think your quarter panel caves in a bit, and you just kind of let her glide on there. I know it's not ideal, but when it's a quick way around, what are you going to do?
Well, you kept it in, you stayed in the top 3 the entire race long here on the screen. I think you're the most laps led, and 2023 starts off not too shabby for you, Jamie. Does this give you a little bit of a higher chin or a little confidence as we move forward with Cedar Lake and Williams Grove and Weedsport these next 3 weeks?
Yeah, for sure. It's just the big gamble is whether you're going to take a big block or small block, and I think that's half my battle is I struggle a lot in the small block. So points-wise, I need these big block races to really gain points where I can and just kind of make the most out of it.
Well, we'll be watching to see if you can capitalize on that one. I think you've closed the gap very slightly between yourself and Beagle. Not sure at the moment, unofficially, which of the two of you is in second in the championship now at the end of this one. But who do you have to thank and shout out to start off 2023 with a bang?
Yeah, I'm hoping we'll keep this momentum rolling for sure. But Evergreen Thrift Store, St. Catharines Marina, Miller's Auto Detailing. Oh, I guess it's Garden City Auto Detail Plus now. Beefy Sports for sure. MDR Designs for keeping me looking good. Obviously, you guys here at BRP TV for putting this on. It's great to do on Monday nights. The whole series, all those guys. The boys back at the shop, Matt, Billy, Zach, all those guys. Couldn't do it without them.
Well, absolutely. MDR Designs keeps you looking good on the track, looking good off the track as well as Jamie Porter. Congratulations on the second place run tonight.
Thank you.
And with that, Jamie Porter, great run. Man, great run for that 45 car. Feels good. Hey, another feel-good story. Adam Hilton with his first interview of the season, and he's going to head over with Jonathan Howe here at the third place run.
Adam Hilton brings it home, third in the 3-car. Adam, talk to us about the drive tonight.
Oh, we were just kind of hanging on at the end there. The top definitely had what we like to call character, and had to keep it right up against the wall and kind of throw some haymakers there too, between Porter and Plank and Higby. We hopefully we put on a pretty good show there. The beginning of the race was pretty good. The end, it was a little sick. You had to kind of wheel it and get off the gas a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. I really like these big tracks.
Yeah, Adam, you definitely put on a great show. You represented yourself well, and I think this is the kind of finish that we maybe didn't get the chance to see from you earlier in the season. You've definitely been one of our more competitive drivers out there. Just talk to us about how good it feels to put one together here and end up on the podium.
Good. I mean, we've definitely put in some time, and racing with these guys, we all have respect for each other, so that's good. Just had some unfortunate at the beginning of the season, gotten some tangles and either went a lap down or something, just didn't have the luck on my side, and seems to be finally coming back around, so that's always positive.
And who do you want to thank for the awesome run here tonight, Adam?
The sponsors, Roar Logistics, MVP Network Consulting. Got to thank all the guys at BRP iRacing League for putting it on. Definitely want to call out you, Joe, for helping us out and doing the broadcast for us.
Great point. Thanks again, Joe, for all the hard work you do. And congratulations, Adam, on what was an awesome third place run to start 2023.
So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that from Adam Hilton. Great guy. And Jonathan and I are very happy to be here every week to help out, put this series on, and just, give a good show to everybody. And it's really great to have everybody appreciate it and keep coming out. 20 drivers. Tonight it was, you get it back after the break. A couple guys are going to use that mulligan 1 week drop. But Jonathan, we still had a freaking great race.
Yeah, that was a blast. How much fun was that, eh? We had a lot of hard racing inside the top 10. We had drivers making mistakes. We had drivers pushing it to the absolute limit. Lots to talk about on the next episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, which should drop a little later this week, probably on Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. And this is of all the tracks to pick and support and throw a race sponsorship behind, we definitely picked a good one, and we got to thank our listeners for that, because this was actually voted on by the Southern Ontario Dirt Show listeners via Instagram at @sods_pod. So thanks to all of them. Thanks for picking Port Royal, which I'm very excited that we got to run here, and we're going to come here a little bit later in the year too, right?
Yes, that is correct. We will be back at Port Royal later in the season. That's how many weeks was that? Let me see if I can count this up real quick for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so about 2 months from now we'll be back. So about 2 months from now you should set a reminder for every week with the series, because it's always great. But, 6-ish, 7 weeks from now we'll be back at Port Royal to see if we can get another one. See if Brandon Plank doubles up. Who knows? Let's bring you the race rundown and the final unofficial results of the show tonight. Brandon Plank, your winner, started from third place on the grid and led quite a few laps. Had a great run with Jamie Porter, who finished second. Porter with an excellent showing all evening long. Adam Hilton with third place in car number 3. That's a good run for him, his best finish of the season so far. Maybe 1 up it or 2 up it next week at Cedar Lake. 4th place for Ryan Beagle, who kind of was quietly in the mid-pack and then started slowly getting up into the top 10, through there into the top 5, and he ends up 4th. The thriller, Travis Miller, gets the top 5 rounded out in the 22 car, so 2 red machines sneaking in at the end. Matt DeRitter with a great run ends up 6th place. That doesn't... even though 6th is a good run, doesn't really show how well Matt ran tonight. Same with Cody Higbee, who ends up 7th in the 97 car. Gavin Isley ends up 8th. He had ups and downs this evening. Ryan Susi had a couple of ups and downs as well. He ends up 9th. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be the 79 of Dean Reynolds.
And taking a look at the second half of the field here, Tyler Pacholski brings it home 11th after being involved in some incidents. And a good run, good recovery for Richie Pereira, who ends up 12th. Dave DePetro ends up 13th. And it's Dean Meitzler 14th. Liam Daniels 15th. And then Jeff Sharp down a couple laps. Pat Reiser down a couple laps. And Alan Slate, Travis Cunningham, and Corby Daniels unable to finish this one. Tough break for my pal Travis, who... started up inside, started at 10th, I think we said, up inside the top 10 anyways. Ran up inside the top 10 before a couple mistakes bit him, but that's all right. We'll break it down on the podcast. We'll talk about it, and I'm just happy he had the run that he had, because it's always good to get some TV time, even if it doesn't finish your way. It's good to have that Southern Ontario Dirt Show number 90 up at the front.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you get on the screen at any point is pretty good with this series. We try our best to get everybody up, but with some of the action these guys held tonight, I think it's fair. You know, a couple of them needed that extra airtime tonight. Travis Cunningham, Southern Ontario Dirt Show on the side all season long, and hey, 19th spot. You'll probably do better next week. So on the up and up when we go to Cedar Lake for Travis, we want to take another quick opportunity to thank the partners of the series: MDR Designs, Jam Performance, Creative Turnings, the Super Dirt Car Series, Dig Race Products, 47 Technology, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, and BRPtv. Jonathan, final words as we depart from Port Royal, Pennsylvania, and head out to Wisconsin for next week's race at Cedar Lake.
You know what, Joe? It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I missed this on Monday nights. I was even last week, I was kind of looking at the schedule like, I got a race this week, don't I? We got a race? No, we didn't have a race last Monday, but feels good to be back tonight. Feels good to get back into the podcast swing of things and put the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, and just happy that we got an awesome race tonight. Lots of entertainment, a lot of excitement inside the top 10 and throughout the field, and not much else you could ask for after a couple weeks break.
You're absolutely right, and I kind of did the same thing. Last Monday, I got a little ahead of myself, and I thought that we were racing, so I was getting everything prepared. I was working on the pre-stream stuff, getting the links set up for the broadcast, and kind of at like the last second, I was just like, why haven't I heard from Corby or Matt yet about this week, And as I looked, and like, oh, crap, I'm a week ahead. I thought we were going back to racing last week, but unfortunately, at that moment, we were not. So I had to wait another week to get back. But it is an absolute pleasure to be back. Super excited to continue forward with the season now that we have surpassed the holidays and the winter break. So Cedar Lake will be next time. That will be a great show, and we hope to see you back here on BRPtv for that event next Monday night. Take it easy until we meet you on the flip side. On behalf of Jonathan Howe in the booth with me, on behalf of Corby Daniels, a.k.a. The Beef, and on the behalf of Matt DeRitter, the two co-owners of this series, I'm Joe Donahue. It's been a pleasure. Quick shout-out to my dad, because he has watched the evening tonight. Make a shout-out to everybody who has stuck with us so far this season and will continue to do so into Race 8 next time. Be safe. We'll see you on the flip side of the week.